You're right, YouTubers, how's it going? It's Bruce Lee Jun Fan 13, back with a quick video. It's just a response video to Horrorfanatic78's 10 questions. So I just thought, well, I was going to make a update video, but I'm just waiting for one final thing to come. So I just thought, well, I've got a bit of spare time, I've just had a look at the questions and stuff, so I just thought I'd do this one first, get this uploaded, and then hopefully a bit later on you can see what I've, my update for this week. So his first question was, how did you get into horror? So I was just thinking about this, and I think I've said in like another video before, it was actually my mum and stepdad when I was quite little. It was about 5 or 6. We used to have a Betamax video player, and they used to go out on a Friday, Saturday night drinking and whatever, so more often than not they didn't get up too early in the morning, so I used to creep downstairs because horror interested me even then. So I used to creep downstairs and put one or two of the tapes in, and watch them. And my mum was quite into horror as well, so I sort of got interested in it from then. And as time went on, we used to be able to get these. It was like a cassette, like a Walkman cassettes, with I think they were called something of the Mausoleum, Tales of the Mausoleum, or something like that. And I used to listen to the same 2 or 3 tapes, a few nights in the week when I went to bed. I just used to listen to them in bed and stuff. It was just tales about vampires, ghosts, stuff like that. It is like kids stuff, but I thought they were quite sort of creepy and stuff at the time. I'd love to be able to get my hands back on them actually, just for sort of nostalgia's sake. But from then on, obviously as time went on, the people I used to hang around with, they were into horror and heavy metal and stuff also. So we used to go to the same places every week, and we sort of spurred each other on. My friend was a big sort of VHS collector, so it's sort of, I just basically, it was like a natural progression for me since childhood. So that's basically, it's my mum's fault. So yeah, that's that. Number 2 is, how many horror films do you own? So I've just had a quick count. I didn't know I had that many actually. It's 216. So I mean, I was including, obviously I got box sets of Final Destination and the Nightmare series. So I've just counted those ones individually, what Nightmare 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So I mean, altogether 216 movies. So I haven't counted the ones I've got duplicates, just on their own. So, but it never seems like enough, does it? You always want more, more, more. So there's so many that I still want to get. And number 3, favourite horror movie, is I'd have to disagree with R&R Horror Hunter on this one. My favourite movie is An American Werewolf in London. I think this is a great movie. I think I've said in a couple of other me videos before, this is one of the ones that I actually saw on Betamax, back in the day and stuff. It's always stuck with me. The effects are great, and coming from UK, I suppose it probably appealed to UK more than America maybe. I'm not quite sure, but it's the humour and a bit of the well, not slapstick, but typical British humour. I mean, I love the effects. I think John Landis is a great director, and that's always one that's stuck with me for years and years and years. So American Werewolf in London. Number 4, least favourite movie. Might get some bit of stick for this, but I don't care. That is the original Last House on the Left. I didn't actually watch this until quite recently actually. I think it was last week. I have actually had it for a while, and I just thought I'll give it a good watch. And I finished it and I thought, it's rubbish. I mean, this is the slightly cut version as well. But, you know, even if it wasn't cut, you know, there's just not much in there for me. You know, I mean, this is probably like the first of its type, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but, you know, like the rape revenge or whatever type movies, you know, in that sort of vein. But I was watching it, you know, I was really bored. You know, I do like the remake, I must say. But I think this is like totally overrated. You know, when you talk to people, they always go on about it. I think, nah, it's not for me that. You know, I probably won't watch it ever again. So, favourite number 5, favourite horror franchise. And for me, it's got to be the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. You know, I love the original. It's got a few good sequels. It's, in my opinion, a solid franchise. You know, there is a couple of dodgy moments, you know. I think in Freddy's Dead, you know, the computer, where Freddy's playing a computer game, you know, I don't think that particular part holds up very well in this day and age. You know, there's a couple of cheesy, you know, it does get a little bit cheesier as the series goes on. But, you know, I think it's a steady franchise, you know. I really love these films. I've watched them over and over and over again. Probably more times than any other horror movies, I'd say. So, that's that. Least favourite horror franchise, number 6. And I'd have to go with the House franchise. The only reason is, House 1, I absolutely adore. I think it's so good. You know, I can watch it anytime. I love House 1, you know, the whole story, the effects, the whole mood of the film. I think it's absolutely brilliant, you know. But I've seen the second one once, didn't think much of that, you know. I got this one not that long ago, and I didn't actually even make it to the end of the film. And I looked online, and apparently there's 4. You can get 4 in a box set. But I'm not going to be getting them. You know, I think after the first one, the franchise is just so weak and it drifts so far away from the original. You know, I just don't enjoy these ones at all. You know, if they'd carried on in the way that they'd started, you know, I think it could have been an excellent, really popular like franchise. But I mean, I feel sort of the same way about Amityville. You know, the second one, The Possession, is I think is the best one out of all of them. But I'm not fond of the remake. I know there's a few of them. I've seen 1 or 2, and you know, I think that's a pretty weak franchise as well, to be honest. But I'm going to go with House anyway, even though I do love the first one. I think the rest of them are pretty rubbish, to be honest. So, number 7, underrated horror. So I'd have to go with Wolf Creek. I mean, you know, I've got a horror page on Facebook, and you know, I do talk to a few other like horror fans. It never really seems to get mentioned much. So I don't know why. You know, I think you know, it's a really, you know, obviously it's based on true events apparently. You know, I think it's a really intense, you know, nicely acted, you know, nicely written. Got some good, you know, gory effects as well. I think the guy who plays Mick Taylor, what's his name? John Jarrett. You know, I think he plays a stunning part. You know, and the other 3 actors, I think they do a really good job. You know, it's you know, Mick Taylor, he just sort of reminds me of like Mad Max on acid or something like that. You know, he plays the part so well. You know, and I just love the film. I think it's so underrated. You know, I think it should get more recognition than it actually deserves. And I've heard there's a Wolf Creek 2 on its way, so I'm quite happy about that. So, overrated horror, number 8. and I'd have to go with Cabin in the Woods. I put it on, you know, I'd had this at Christmas time, and you know, I put it on for me and the missus. You know, I'd sort of like, you know, request it for like a birthday, Christmas present. I thought, you know, there's a couple out, you know, you can get me them if you want. And you know, we'd seen it on cinema and I actually thought it was okay. So I wanted to get it on Blu-ray, and we watched it the other night, and I thought it's not very good, you know, for all the hype it gets. I mean, in my opinion, I think people who really love this movie, and I mean, don't like dog me for this, but I think, you know, people who really love this movie are just normal sort of like moviegoers who, like, horror is not like the focus of their attention, you know. That's what I usually find with a lot of some movies, you know. People say like they're really really good, but I mean, if you're like into horror and you love horror and you know what you're sort of like looking for, and you know, the only bit for me that I actually enjoyed where you know, they open all the doors to the lifts and stuff, and all the monsters come out, and you know, there's a bit of like action and stuff. But even so, you know, I'm not a CGI fan either. But you know, it's had like a couple of cool moments. You know, I think that guy like plays a really good part. But the rest of it, you know, it's like a once a year, maybe couple of year watcher for me. You know, doesn't really interest me. So I think that's pretty overrated in my opinion. So number 9, what do I think of modern horror? I mean, you do get the occasional gem. I think, you know, there's been one or two quite good releases. Mostly what I find in modern horror, the ones that are released in the cinema don't usually go down too well with me. You know, the ones who are going straight to DVD or straight to Blu-ray or whatever. You know, if you go hunting around, you know, you can discover some pretty good ones. I mean, I do think it's okay, but not half as good as it was. And plus, what I think it is, you know, a lot of people are more desensitized to it all now. There's a lot more pickiness, and people, you know, really looking in depth to all the stories, and everything's got to be perfect, and you know, this guy hasn't played him too well, and you know, they've got to pick the bones out of everything. And you know, I just sort of like take everything at face value now. You know, I love all my 80s and some 70s and, you know, horror movies, and they'll always stay with me. But for modern horror, sometimes it takes a lot to impress me. But, you know, there is some okay ones about. But like I say, I don't think it's as good as it was. I hope that some new directors come along and revive some of that old magic. So, number 10, what movies am I looking forward to? And I'd have to go with Hatchet 3. I know some people don't like the Hatchet movies, but I think they're like really good. You know, that's what I'm on about. You know, they kind of are reviving some of that 80s sort of like magic and gore, and you know, they do it. You know, the movies do it really well, I think. You know, so I'm looking forward to like Hatchet 3. And you know, I've heard good things about the new Carrie remake or reimagining. You know, it's one or the other these days, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to Carrie quite a lot. I actually watched it last week, the original, and you know, still enjoy it. I don't know whether I probably might go and watch The Purge. I'm not quite sure about that yet. I've heard mixed reviews about that one, but mostly what I'm looking forward to is Hatchet 3. So I'll be glad for when that one comes out over here. So that was my 10 questions in response to Horrorfanatic78. I hope my answers were okay. And yeah, I'll be back on later on, or maybe tomorrow, with my update video. It's going to be slightly something different for you this time. And I've got something really cool to show you as well. So have a good one, and I'll see you later.